Hey everybody, it's Angelo Caruso. I'm here with my new best friend. This is Brenda Meller. I've known her online for years. Hi Brenda.
Hey, Michael, I'm so glad to be online with you today.
Lovely pleasure connecting with you as well. You are owning it in the LinkedIn space, and I wanted to talk with you not only about where you are and how you got here, but also to have you share some strategies with people that might be interested in improving not only their LinkedIn acumen, but social media in general, because we know a lot of these platforms borrow from each other, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of crossover and things you can learn as strategies on one network that you can apply to others.
For sure. So right now I said you own it in the LinkedIn space. You're offering all kinds of deliverables for people. You're doing breakout sessions and keynotes at conferences, for example. I see you doing a ton of group sessions. I assume they're in front of work teams or maybe chamber groups, that sort of thing.
They are a combination of both, both business development, marketing teams, and then chambers and organizations will contact me and say, hey, can you come out and speak to our group?
You're also doing coaching behind the scenes for executives and teams.
I am, yeah, working with individuals. So, if you're looking to really kind of brush up on LinkedIn, but want somebody to be kind of your guide by the side, I work with people hands-on, side by side, working with them through their laptops or virtually, working with clients from across the world really through Zoom sessions.
Your guide by the side. I love it. How did you get to this place in your life? What did you do before this?
Gosh, it's funny because I've always been a marketer my entire career. And I wasn't one of those people who said, 5 years from now, I'm going to be on my own and launch my own business. I had a knack for social media. I got on LinkedIn in 2006 and I was blogging and started to get asked to speak at events and do webinars and whatnot. And a few years back, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go next in my career, and the universe nudged me forward, if you will. And I had a chance to figure out where I wanted to go. And as I was looking at full-time opportunities, I started getting asked to do project work. And then I made the decision, gosh, if I put my own marketing efforts into marketing myself, I could stay on my own, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And, kind of fast forward to today, it's been about 2 years. And for probably the past 6 months, I've been using this term now. I'm enthusiastically unemployable. So staying on my own, from time to time, I do get asked to work for an organization, but I really do enjoy being self-employed and love the life it's afforded me.
I like what you said about getting nudged forward by the universe. There's only one thing worse than getting nudged forward by the universe, and that's getting nudged backward. And that's happened to me as well. Let's open up the convo here with what's new about LinkedIn. I think a lot of people watching have been on the platform for a long time. They may not be doing everything right, but sometimes it's hard to find out exactly what's new and what information can be trusted. LinkedIn, like all of the platforms, has this secret sauce called an algorithm.
Absolutely.
And what are you noticing lately that's getting a bump for your clients?
Sure. So, LinkedIn will roll out different features all the time. And sometimes they roll it out to select group of people who are kind of the heavy users. So involved with a lot of LinkedIn trainers and coaches from across the world. So whenever we see something new, we're always sharing with each other. And what I like to tell people, it's kind of like if you have like we have a Cedar Point nearby us, an amusement park. Whatever the new ride is at the amusement park, that's where they're putting all of their time and energy and money into supporting it. Yeah. And the same thing with the LinkedIn algorithm. They put a lot of weight on the newer features. So a few things that have rolled out in 2019 that are more prevalent to many of us that are seeing video, certainly. I think everybody has the ability now to post a video on LinkedIn. There's a select group of people, and Michael, are you one of them that has LinkedIn Live?
I don't know if I have Live because I haven't used it, but I suspect I'm not in your league. By the way, you mentioned that you're getting like special treatment or special intel. What is the name of this? Well,
not really. I mean, it's just a user group that I kind of self-selected into. Okay. So I don't know if you know Terry Bean. His concept is so his concept is co-opetition. So instead of seeing other people that are doing the exact same thing that I'm doing as competition, I see them as people who can help kind of highlight and bring enhancements to what I do because I'm learning from them. They're learning from me. And a lot of these people are across the world.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we just learn from each other, and we will often see features and we'll share the features with each other. Sometimes we don't talk about them on LinkedIn because we have questions or hesitations or concerns. So we'll talk about them on Facebook. We have a Facebook user group over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the newer features come out, we're talking about that. And
So to more fully answer your question, now that I'm
yeah,
thinking about it, I have done Facebook Live. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, this is you're at a site someplace and you want to reverse the screen and maybe you say I'm at a such and such event. And then in real time, that video is posted to your LinkedIn platform for people to comment on and like and that sort of thing.
right.
And I've done that, not with great success. And I don't know if it's because I'm in any special club. That's what you're referring to, correct?
Well, there are what people refer to as pods, engagement pods on LinkedIn and on other networks where they'll all message each other and say, hey, I've posted something on LinkedIn. Everybody go out and like the post and make a comment on the post. And
Right.
that helps to jumpstart engagement. And that's one of the rules. You talked about the secret sauce, the algorithm. One of the rules to getting great engagement on LinkedIn is that you have to have significant comments and likes within the first hour. So the pods are one way of doing that.
The
Going
first
back,
hour of the first hour since the post goes up.
correct.
And video is great for that because there's something about video that people like.
Yeah.
It's more attractive somehow than a regular post or I like sausage or
I think it's
whatever.
visual. You see things that are kind of moving around. Going back though to Michael, to LinkedIn Live, it's not actually available to everyone. Whereas on Facebook, we can all do a live video.
Yes.
LinkedIn Live video is something that they are rolling out. And that's one of the newer things I'm seeing right now. They're being very selective on who gets access to live video. And
Okay.
you do have to use an external service versus on Facebook, you could just hit that red camera button and you can go live right away.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
And by the way, for those of you watching this video now and into the future, everything changes. So we're speaking in present tense today.
Right.
And it's up to you to keep up to speed. So we have a couple of cans of worms open here already, which I totally expected, Brenda. So there's live video, which is unlimited in length. Is that correct? You can stay live as long as your bandwidth holds out?
And I've seen people go live for an hour. I've seen it. And you just got to think about the attention span. How long is the average person going to sit on a video watching you?
Yeah.
They say kind of in a static video, the ideal length, and you probably know this too, is like 1 to 2 minutes, and even better on social media nowadays is like a minute or less.
Yes.
But live, as long as you're capturing their attention, it's almost like what we're doing right now in a podcast format. You can go keep it going for 10, 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour, as long as you've got good content and you're delivering things that are resonating with your audience that will keep them engaged.
Yeah. So let's talk about video length for a while, and you can verify these things that I think I know. Again, the algorithms and the rules are always changing.
Yeah.
TikTok, the new platform, seems to be focused on a much shorter length of video.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Do you know
Yeah,
TikTok?
I have to admit, I'm not a TikTok user. My son uses it. He's 14, and we're even a bit hesitant because we've heard some hesitations and some concerns that other teen parents have about the network. I
Yeah.
do know. I just read an article the other day that just talked about TikTok as the place to be right now in terms of video content and things that are going on out there. I've chosen to really focus and specialize on LinkedIn and really the other major platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I do have a Snapchat account. I'll admit my daughter uses it more than I do. But I do pay attention to the networks that are growing right now. But
Yes.
I've selected, and that's a point for your viewers and listeners, you don't have to be on every network all the time. Pick the platforms that work best for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mentioned TikTok because we learn from other platforms, and we already mentioned LinkedIn borrows what's working from the other platforms. So it does,
Absolutely.
pay to watch this other stuff, even if you don't get on it.
Yeah.
You all know this.
Absolutely.
But I was more focused on the length. So earlier we kind of told everybody, because I know people are taking notes and stuff, I got to do long ass live videos now because Brenda said so.
Yeah.
But TikTok is predicated on really short videos. And I think if you post a video to LinkedIn now, there's a limit of only 5 minutes.
It's 10 minutes for LinkedIn videos, and those are videos that you upload. Now, the workaround to that, if you have a longer video, you could post it to another network, a Vimeo or a YouTube link, for example.
Yes.
But do be aware there's a penalty that's built into the algorithm for external sites that you're using in posts.
Yeah.
So if you upload a video organically to LinkedIn, it's better than pointing people to a YouTube link, because their goal is to keep people on LinkedIn, not to send people off to YouTube or to other sites.
Right. So for those of you listening, what Brenda's saying is that it may be in your best interest to upload the video in the same way you uploaded it to YouTube to get the link to share on
Right.
social,
Yep.
is to upload that same video to LinkedIn, and for that matter, upload it natively, it's called, to Facebook.
Yep.
It takes 3 times as long to get it up. You have to code it, do the SEO, the
Yep.
keywords, the tags, the description. It's a
Yeah.
pain. But if you continue to show the YouTube links on the LinkedIn platform, you risk not having people see it, and that defeats the whole purpose, right?
Absolutely. And the goal here is, if you're using whatever site you're using, if it's YouTube or rather if it's LinkedIn or Facebook, your goal is to generate the highest level of impressions and views, because those in turn increase the likelihood people are going to visit your profile, which is really where you're doing your selling about yourself and your organization.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned co-opetition a minute ago.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, because a lot of people, I think, get it wrong. That they have a LinkedIn account, then they collect a lot of LinkedIn friends, and they get above 500, so they've gone pro.
Right.
500 is like it's still the baseline for being
It's,
impressive.
when you get above 500, it says 500 plus, so you feel like you've made it. You've gotten one of the minimum thresholds that LinkedIn
I don't know
recommends.
where they find these numbers, because with Facebook, it's 5,000.
Right.
And then LinkedIn may change it. As more and more people get into that 500 range, you're like, oh, we're going to make it 1,000 or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think the mistake a lot of people make, I'm interested in your opinion on this. You mentioned co-opetition. Originally comes from John Nash. In the movie A Beautiful Mind, they talk about co-opetition
Oh,
as
really? Okay.
the combination between cooperation and
Mm-hmm.
competition.
Mm-hmm.
And he won a Nobel Prize for it. He said it doesn't have to be one or the other. We can help each other. And I think that's a key to these platforms, is that if you just collect friends and then you don't actually give anything back to the platform, it's not going to work for you. You have to post quality content. And what better way to do that than to post helpful content?
Mm-hmm.
But then how do you keep the helpful content from your competition? You don't think of them as a competition anymore. You think of it as co-opetition.
Right. And I to extend onto that, I don't know if you've heard of the phrase social media karma. So I really focus on, when I'm posting on LinkedIn, very rarely do I sell. I'm more often than not talking about other people or sharing free tips and insights and free samples, if you will. So the whole concept there is, building up social media karma. When I talk about Michael on LinkedIn, that makes Michael feel good about me. Michael's network looks at the post, and it's not Michael talking about himself, it's somebody else talking about him. So the whole concept of social proof is now built in. People believe more what others say about you than they believe what you say about yourself. So I'm understanding and creating posts that are helping other people, but that in turn helps me because it builds up goodwill, and it also builds up visibility for me.
Well, it also triggers the oldest mechanism in the books, which is reciprocity.
Absolutely.
If you say enough nice things about people, they start saying nice things about you.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely
They feel like
right.
they owe it to you to repay the favor. They're always indebted to you, right?
Right. And we never do that so that they'll say something nice about us.
No,
it
absolutely.
Just is it's like the pendulum swinging
It's like a bonus. Right.
It's fine. Tide comes in, tide goes out.
Yeah. And similarly too, you've probably seen sometimes where people are trying to game the algorithm, and if you tag someone or mention them in a post on LinkedIn, it goes into their homepage feed. So you're gaining essentially a portion of their audience getting the opportunity to see your post. So you're expanding your potential reach. But I know, and you've probably seen this too, some people tag like 30 or 40 people in the post, and it has nothing to do with those 30 or 40 people. Now, if that happens and I'm one of the 10 or 20 people that are tagged, and it has something to do with me, or that person is somebody who's frequently paying it forward, helping others, I will comment back, and that will help to kind of perk up the algorithm again. If not, I tend not to remove a tag unless it's a controversial subject and I know they're trying to gain impressions from my network. But I tend to just let it lie unless it's something that is purposeful and aligns with my values, or the person has been supportive of me and my network. Then I may comment back.
I like it. You mentioned something before we pressed record today, something called the SSI score. Could you explain that to everybody?
Sure. So LinkedIn has an index that's referred to as the Social Selling Index, your SSI. And this is something you can get for free on LinkedIn. The easiest way, you can go to Google and just type in LinkedIn SSI and it'll take you to a link. But basically what happens is they kind of plug into your LinkedIn account and then they come up with your index. So your index is a scale of 0 to 100. And the analogy I like to use is this is an index. So 50 is average for the population. So it's kind of like when I go to the pediatrician and they say your child's height and weight is in the 50th percentile. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that's their average for the group. So LinkedIn breaks it up into 4 categories. You can get up to 25 points in each category, and they come up with a score for you. So right now, I think I'm sitting at like an 83, 84. I think I've been as high as like an 87 and as low as 72 since I started tracking it. I have heard if you don't have Sales Navigator, which is a paid subscription service in LinkedIn, I have heard you can't get above 90. So I always caution people, keep that in mind. It is essentially a tool that LinkedIn is using to try to get you to upgrade to that next level up. But it is one of many ways that you can assess your progress on LinkedIn and establish a benchmark for yourself.
It's for all the people that just can't stand being an 89.
Do you know what you have, Michael? Have you looked up your score lately?
No, this is news to me. I haven't bothered, but I made a note to do that today.
Yeah, I'll send you the link for that, and I'll include it so you can include it for your viewers as well.
Oh, great. Thank you. Now, there used to be some sort of a similar scoring thing, but it was all across the platforms. It was called a something score.
Right. And LinkedIn had, it was like based on profile completeness. You got 5% if you uploaded a picture and 20% if you had your last employer. And it's still it's not, the score isn't in there anymore, but they now have your like beginner, intermediate, and all-star. So you might see on your profile someplace it's kind of grayed out, and in the background it'll show you what status level you're at. But it's essentially, I think eventually it will go away just because they're downplaying it a bit more. But if you follow step-by-step the instructions LinkedIn has on how to fill out your profile, you'll move up from kind of that beginner to that all-star level.
Okay, cool. I have always thought LinkedIn was a bit superior to some of the other platforms. When I say other, I'm speaking about the big ones, Facebook, LinkedIn, and in some regard, even YouTube, which some people think of as a separate, not really a social media platform. Right. I think it shares enough to call it a social media platform. Mm-hmm. I like that LinkedIn seems to have more integrity. I get hacked less often on LinkedIn. It seems like more legit business people.
Yeah.
Although I've met some clowns on LinkedIn. Do you agree that LinkedIn is a higher kind of a professionalism to it?
Yeah, I think the difference really is that you can split all of the other sites into a category of social networking with business elements. And LinkedIn is different because it's purely professional. So it's all related to business. Now, it doesn't mean that every now and again, someone may not post something that they would also post on Facebook or some of the other sites, or that they're using video that they might use on other sites. But categorically, LinkedIn is the one single professional networking site where we're not just focusing on job searching. It's a part of LinkedIn, but it's not the main purpose. It's really professional networking. But we're focusing on our career, on networking with people online, on our business, our industry, and doing research on others as well.
Which is why I was so surprised that they got into video, because LinkedIn's always been the only platform where you could just post one photograph.
Right.
And it was your headshot.
Yeah.
All the other ones were about the bling, and not so much on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I think all the sites are still trying to vie for attention, and they're borrowing techniques from one another. And the other thing you probably notice is LinkedIn has now rolled out reactions, where it used to be just the thumbs up, and now it's the applause and the love, and there's a insightful, which is like a light bulb, and then there's like a little questioning guy, maybe like challenging, inquisitive.
Stickers.
Right. Yeah.
Another reason I think LinkedIn's better, and feel free to chime in, is LinkedIn is the only platform that you can actually do a decent search on. You can't search on Twitter.
Right.
It's even hard to search on Facebook because there's a million people named John Smith.
Right.
On LinkedIn, you can search the name, a title, the name of the company, the city, the state. That is the bomb, and I'm amazed more people don't use it.
Yeah, and I think when you think about some of the other sites too, because we're using them for a blend of personal and professional, and I don't know about you, but even myself, my personal account on Facebook is pretty locked down because I do share family pictures, so I'm not going to make myself as open and accessible. And I even have some friends on Facebook that their account really is separate from their work, so they're not really including their employer information out on there. But yeah, search on LinkedIn is really amazing. And I even tell people too, if you work in business, if you're targeting B2B, really check it out, because we know that LinkedIn data it tends to have a higher degree of accuracy, because the people that are importing the data are the users themselves. Versus if you think about websites like hoovers.com and other places that they're kind of scouring the internet and putting together the best, quote unquote, most current information they can find. Whereas on LinkedIn, we know that there's a higher degree of integrity with the data because it's being uploaded by the users or by the companies and organizations.
Yeah, fascinating. Do you recommend, and all platforms offer a chance to take your money, for advertising. Yeah. Do you recommend the paid version of LinkedIn to clients?
So what I like to tell people is don't pay for it unless you understand how to use the free version first and you're fully optimizing the free version. When you hit a wall, and if you're using LinkedIn the right way, you'll hit that wall. When you hit the first wall, you'll want to think about upgrading. It tends to be the first thing you'll want to get access to is who's viewed my profile. In the free version, I think you can see like the last 2 to 3 people. If you upgrade to premium, which I think is like $59.99 a month, you get unlimited views at everybody who's viewed your profile. But unless you know what to do with those contacts, and unless you have your profile optimized, unless you're engaging with your network, I don't like to see anybody throwing money away. So I always say, let's use the free version first, make sure that we're using the site successfully. But then certainly if you're using it for business purposes, I think it does make sense to upgrade. But let's make sure we're upgrading at the right point in time.
So let's talk about, 2 things. Can you I want to ask about the wall, and then when I ask about what is the right thing to do with people who have viewed your profile. Let's ask about the wall first.
Yeah.
How do I know I've hit a wall on LinkedIn? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so you're going to hit a wall when you want to access features, and LinkedIn says, sorry, you have to upgrade to premium to get access to these features. There's a couple of features, that you get so many in-mails when you upgrade to premium, which are, I can send you a message even if I'm not connected to you, which I don't see those as valuable, because I'd rather connect with you and get your permission to message you unlimited.
Yeah, everybody, in-mail is a chance to send direct communication to somebody that you're not already connected with on LinkedIn.
Correct.
It's a bizarre thing that they would charge for this, because there's so many other ways that you can find this person. But apparently it's a thing, and they get money from it, and people pay for it. So that's just how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a utility for it. I mean, I will say the last job that I held, I upgraded on LinkedIn to get direct access to the hiring manager, and I sent my resume directly to him with that feature. So at the time, that was a job seeker premium, and I think it was $19.99, and that was like the best $19.99 I ever paid. So it does hold a utility, but do keep in mind, what are you getting out of it? On an ongoing basis, especially, you might just want to upgrade once, try it out. I always tell people they give you 1 month for free, put your credit card on file, test it out for the month, and then just make sure you cancel it by day 29 if you're not getting the value out of it. For me, I get the value out of it every month, whether it's in securing new clients or using the data that I'm using in presentations. Yeah. But I don't like to see people wasting money on the platform.
And cancel it day 27 in February.
Right, exactly. Good point.
So that probably answers my second question. Because back in the day, on the telephone, if somebody called you and you wanted to find out who it was, you could like star 69, I think it was. And
right. Remember that? Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then I'm like, well, okay, Tom called me, big deal. What did I care about?
What do I do with that? Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're looking for work and somebody checked you out and you think they might be a potential employer,
right?
But wouldn't you be following up with that person anyway if they were on your list?
Potentially. So I think the question you're asking there is if you see that somebody has viewed your profile, what do you do with it? Right.
Yeah.
So let's kind of put those into 2 buckets: job seekers and everybody else who might be people like me and you who could be prospecting. Because I think the etiquette's a little bit different. if I'm a job seeker and I see that somebody at an employer that I'm interested in or that I've applied to has looked at my profile, I would say be very careful about doing anything with that. I mean, I would look back at their profile. That's okay. But I don't think I would reach out and say, hey, Judy, I saw that you looked at my profile and I'm coming in to interview with you on Tuesday. Maybe we can grab lunch afterwards. Like, that's just, you cross the line from they're doing their research, and there's certain etiquette rules that you follow when you're in that candidate category. So you want to be careful not overstepping there, or putting yourself from candidate we're considering to candidate who doesn't understand etiquette, and then you get pushed off to the side pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I think this this cleverness sometimes works against us. If people think you're too clever, it doesn't play well.
Yeah.
Better to let them find you and be a little hard to get than saying, oh, I saw you were looking at my profile. You looked at it twice.
You want to be careful to. Yeah, I never say, unless I know you pretty well, and if you and I had an interview, let's say a podcast interview scheduled, and I know that you looked at I'm probably not even that. I'm not going to mention it. I would smile and be like, great, Michael's doing his research. But other than maybe if it was somebody I hadn't seen in a while, and it's a familiar type of professional relationship where I wouldn't be like, hey, Marissa, we went to college together. I haven't seen her for years. I saw you looking at my profile the other day, and I was thinking about you too. How have you been? Where it's not going to be weird that I've mentioned it. In most cases, because we're using this as a professional site, you don't want to be weird. You don't want people to think you're stalking them or you've crossed that etiquette barrier. I'm just trying to get that number up, the number of people that viewed my profile. Yeah. So you want a tip on that, on how to increase who viewed your profile? There's a number that LinkedIn gives you. If you go on your profile, LinkedIn gives you a dashboard, and there's basically 3 numbers in that dashboard. And the first number is who viewed your profile. The second number is how many views of your last post you have. And then the third number is how many times you've appeared in search appearances in the past week. So Brenda, quick question. If I shared my screen. Yeah, go ahead, please. Confidential, or is this okay? Yeah, go right ahead. Share your screen. Yeah. Now this is information that only you can see on your profile, but there's nothing in here that would be something that I would say you wouldn't want to share with the network. And especially, I think it'll help to illustrate the point. So click on your name to go onto your profile. Here? Yep, right there. And that's kind of the fastest way of getting to your profile. Now scroll down just a little bit, Michael. And there's a section that says your dashboard private to you. Okay, stop right there. So the first number is what we're looking at, the 289 who viewed your profile. So click on that number right now, and you're going to see a trend line. This is going to show you over the past 90 days how many times people have viewed your profile. And this is a technique. When I first started doing this, it was about 1.5 years ago. My 90-day number was 1,800. And I started focusing on, I can see for you right around August 12th, you did something and you got a lot of profiles. I discovered uranium on August 12th. But whatever it was, if it was posting or commenting or engaging, you had some activity that drove profile views. So around at another time, it would be worth it for me to look at that and try to replicate it. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And then, and you had something else happen in the middle of September. So you don't need to necessarily go back, but just start from this point forward once a week looking at this. And like, for example, you posted today and you tagged me in a post. I've got a pretty large network. I'm going to comment back. And then maybe afterwards I might comment back with a question. And that helps to kind of jumpstart the algorithm and get some more views for the post. Views of the post help to increase profile views. So just watching this number, this is something that you're going to now help to retrain your mind and your LinkedIn activities to drive more profile views. Pretty cool. Let's look at the other 2 numbers if you have a minute. Sure. I'm sure this is useful to folks. So, so the post. Guys, I'm not a role model user or anything. I just plan to do this with Brenda, but I think it's instructive. And what is post views, Brenda? So this is the last time you posted on LinkedIn. You can go ahead and click on that number. It's going to take you to your LinkedIn activity feed. And you can see at the top, it says all activity, articles, posts, and documents. So all activity, if you want to click on that real quick, that's everything you've done on LinkedIn. Whether you've liked a post, commented on it, posted something original, everything is in here. So you can see everybody, I promoted my podcast interview with Brenda just a little bit ago. So that's at the top. Yep.
I don't know why it's there twice. Maybe because I liked it and
I think because you liked it. So you can see here, every time you interact with somebody else's post or your own post, it goes into this activity section.
Is that okay that I liked it and
Absolutely. Yeah,
posted? Okay.
absolutely. So, just be aware when you like or comment on something, everyone can see it. And as long as there's nothing controversial, you don't have anything to worry about there. Articles are anytime that you've posted a blog on LinkedIn, essentially. So an article and blog and LinkedIn Publisher, they're all kind of used interchangeably. So I can see here, it looks like the last time you posted a blog was October 5th, so not too long ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
And then,
getting this is neither here nor there, but I'm not getting the viewership that I used to get on articles. Something
yeah.
shifted.
They have made a major change in the articles module on LinkedIn, and this is another thing that those fellow LinkedIn trainers and coaches that I mentioned earlier, we've identified that this is an area that it seems like LinkedIn is starting to pull away from in terms of putting emphasis on the articles. So because of that, there are certain techniques. If you want to get readership up on those articles, you need to make sure that after you post them the first time, give it a day or so and then start to sprinkle it into groups on LinkedIn, message clients if you think somebody might be interested in that particular post, maybe putting links in your email footer or in other places to drive some viewership up. But certainly I would continue to blog on LinkedIn. It's just, knowing that the algorithms changed a little bit and how those are weighted.
Earlier, you said that it's better to have it, they're watching the first hour after the post. Would it be advisable to do the things that you just mentioned within 60 minutes of posting the original article?
There's actually a penalty that's built in if you share it to too many places at once.
Of course
So,
there is.
and this is nothing like anybody, and any of us have a playbook that we've said, oh, it looks like this rule 2AC is saying don't post it. It's just trial and error. And there's this one gentleman, his name's John Espirian. He's based in the UK, and he does a lot of focus on the technical analytics of LinkedIn, and he tests a lot of things and he shares his data all the time. And it's one of the things he shared. He's like, if you post an article and then, post it to your timeline, give it a while before you post it to too many groups. Otherwise, you'll get penalized for that activity.
Which makes sense because it's a simple copy paste. It feels like spamming if
Right.
it's feeling it too often.
Right.
So everybody, an article is an actual dedicated article that you've composed. It's 6 or 7 paragraphs. You probably put a graphic to it. But a post doesn't require any of that stuff. A post is just a 2 or 3 sentence. Most of you probably know this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the post can be just text. It can be a combination of a text with a visual, tags and hashtags like you've done. I'm not sure if you know too, Michael, but the new guideline for hashtags in LinkedIn posts is the ideal number is 3.
Okay, good to know. I think Instagram, you can go crazy. It's up to like 20 or something.
Instagram, I think it's 30 unless they've changed the number there. And
Right.
and it's really, it's not a problem if you use 30 on Instagram. If you are using a lot of hashtags, you want to mix them up, not use the same ones all the time.
Yep.
But on LinkedIn, I've heard from several sources, and within LinkedIn, I was on a webinar once about a month ago. And what they said was, we've found the ideal number of hashtags is 3 in a post.
That's good for me. I can't. Who's got time to do 30 hashtags, man?
I don't know. And I think they're trying to keep this as a professional site, not get too spammy, but I do see people trying to use 1 million hashtags on LinkedIn thinking the more I use, the more people I'll reach. But it's actually in the algorithm, you're penalized if you're using more than 3 in there.
So moderation, everybody. The last one, I know I don't do well on documents. I'm not posting a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So, and again, this is a newer feature on LinkedIn. Remember how earlier I talked about Cedar Point and they add a new ride and they put all the time and attention and marketing dollars into that. So since documents are still newer on LinkedIn, they are weighted higher in the algorithm. So I would highly recommend, Michael, if you haven't already done so, try uploading a document in there and just see what impact you see on views of that post and engagement with that post as well.
Okay, great advice. And as always, everybody, it's about sharing quality stuff, not just posting to post. Mm-hmm. Was there a third number or did we take care of it?
The third number is search appearances. To be honest, I don't pay too much attention to this. Sometimes it's interesting. It's only the past week. And if you scroll down, it shows you, here's where the searchers work. So if I was, if I was you and you're trying to pitch the Greater Brighton Area Chamber of Commerce for an opportunity, and you see they're looking at your profile, that might make you feel good. But what are you going to do with it beyond that?
This is what we talked about before.
Right, right. So it might make you feel good. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, it's also going to show you keywords that it's going to show you the job titles of those people. And that should line up with your target audience. If you find that you're reaching a lot of financial advisors and you're not targeting financial advisors, you may want to think about what is it in your content that might be appealing to that audience and that might highlight a potential audience to go after. But if you're targeting mainly executive directors and you're seeing that's the highest percentage, you're doing the right thing there. And then below that, see where it says keywords your searchers used. I'm not seeing anything in here for you, but sometimes it'll show keywords that are related to my profile, and other time I have no idea why the keywords are even in there. It doesn't seem to make sense.
I'm not sure what you're seeing on your screen, but there is a keyword here in it. And it's
speaker, the word speaker. Yeah. That's the only one. But sometimes it'll have keywords that make sense because I see them on my profile. And other time I have no idea why my profile has been coming up because of those keywords.
Okay. Well, this is fantastic. Anything else before I stop sharing my screen? Any other tidbits?
Do you have a company page on LinkedIn?
If I do, I haven't touched it in a while.
Okay, let's scroll down because the reason I'm seeing Edison House with the little gray avatar next to it, which leads me to believe either you don't have your company page or you have it in the wrong area of your experience. So nope, so I'm not seeing it. Do you don't have a company page yet on LinkedIn, do you?
Let's say no.
Okay, so can you go over to my profile for a second and I'll show you this on my profile?
Sure. My profile's up here or back to the other one?
Go into where it says search and look up Brenda Meller. So basically you'd be visiting my profile there on LinkedIn. There you go.
We're going to go to a page that's doing it right, everybody.
What's that? Oh, it looks like it's right. So click on my name to go onto my profile. And then you see in the top section here, Meller Marketing is the employer that's listed up there. Walsh College is below that because that's the last place I earned my education. Scroll down to my experience section now. So scroll down and then my first employer is listed as Meller Marketing. And then if you click on either Meller Marketing or the logo there, it's going to take you to my company page on LinkedIn. And essentially this is like a mini version of my website. So it's a place to capture people who may be interested in my business. Anybody who's following my company page, I always say it's kind of like they're raising their hand. I'm interested in learning more about Meller Marketing. And if you're posting on a regular basis here, you can start to identify who these people are. They may not want to connect with you until they're ready to do business with you, but they may be interested in following your company page because they see your information as insightful and helpful. So that's going to be my tip for you, Michael. Get your company page set up here on LinkedIn.
Thank you very much. And look at this little bell and whistle.
Yeah, so this is an animated GIF, and this is something that once upon a time LinkedIn would allow us to do on our company pages only. What LinkedIn giveth, LinkedIn sometimes taketh away, but they grandfathered in the people that kept or that had the GIF on their company pages originally. So if you haven't set up a company page yet, you won't be able to do an animated GIF, but if you already have one, just don't change it because you can't ever go back to an animated GIF again.
Amazing. Brenda, you really know your stuff. We're so grateful that you shared with us today. Hey, everybody. Brenda's available to help you and your company. She does individual coaching for executives and marketing people. Her website is mellermarketing.com. She's available for talks, either for breakouts or keynotes. Do you travel? I know you do Michigan stuff.
I do. I'm national. I've been on the circuit now and I've gone a couple places outside of Michigan. Yep.
So if somebody calls you and wants you to come to San Diego, you're going to try to work it out?
I would definitely do that. I'd be happy to go out there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for being with us today. You're a pro.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.